Hi, welcome to part 2 of Valentine Critters. Today's video we're going to be putting together cards for each one of the critters that we created in part 1. If you're interested in seeing part 1, I have linked that below. So let's get started with card number 1. We're going to start off with Soft Sky, and we're just going to add some shading to the oval die cut. I did die cut all of the elements in advance just to save some time, and I did use the layering ovals, squares, and circle, and in addition I did use the stitch dies by Stampin' Up. Okay, so now we're going to put together the two oval pieces, and that red oval is actually in real red, and that'll give it a nice red border. We're also going to pop up the little mouse just to add some more interest to the card. Next, we're going to make the card panels. We're going to use real red, and that's cut out at 5.5 by 4.25. And the design paper Falling in Love is a 12 by 12 sheet, and we've used the top portion of that, and we cut 4 pieces out at 4 inches by 5.25 for the other cards. Using Whisper White, prepare 4 top folding card bases, and we're going to cut that down at 4.25 and then score at 5.5. I made these flowers from the October 2016 alternate project, and I had a few of them sitting on my desk, and I just didn't have the heart to throw them out, so I'm going to use a couple of them in today's project. We're going to create the love sentiment, so grab your black Stampin' Write marker and write the word love. And then flip over the marker to the fine tip and just kind of scribble some lines on the one side of the word, and that'll give it kind of a scripty look. And also it'll cover up any imperfections. And as you can see on the letter E, I did that extra little curl there, so I'm just gonna thicken up that line just to hide it. And then once you're happy with that, just fussy cut it out. Now we're ready to put together all the pieces on this card. We're going to pop up the flower just to give it some more dimension. And later on, in just a sec actually, you're going to see an additional word, which is the U word. I did decide to create this U word off camera and include it on this card too. And I think it added just a little more extra oomph to it. We're going to be moving on to card number 2, but just to let you know, I'm really fussed because the next 3 cards were recorded on slow motion, and I don't know how I did that, but somehow I slipped it over to the slow motion mode, and so of course I had to speed it up, and it does reduce the quality of the video, so it's not as sharp. So I'll just have to make sure that I don't ever do that again. Okay, moving on. This is Wisteria Wonder card panel, and also the little squares. We're going to pop that up, and then the little guy is going to fit in there just nicely, and he's going to be popped up too. The little heart is from the mini treat bag thinlits, and that's cut out using Melon Mambo. I think it just added an extra little punch of color. Alright, so this love sentiment is from Love Sparkles, which is in the Current Occasions catalog. I just stamped that out and then I fussy cut it out by hand. To make sure the beaver piece is nice and straight on the card, I used a T ruler. Well, we're almost finished this card, but I did notice that the section below the love sentiment was a little bit bare, so I did cut out a small little heart in Wisteria Wonder and I adhered it just below the love word. So on to the third card. We're using Wild Wasabi, and because it's similar to the second card, I did put everything together in advance to save some time. So we're just going to adhere the kitty cat onto the card panel and then the flower from a previous alternate project. And the sentiment is the love sentiment that I hand scribbled earlier, and we're going to also include it on this card. And I did punch out some hearts, and those hearts were punched out using the retired itty bitty heart punch. And that's the same heart that I included on the second card that I punched out in Wisteria Wonder. For the final card, we're using Melon Mambo, and to cut out this rectangle shape, I used the stitched rectangle dies by Memory Box. And I did freeze frame this part here for just a sec because I wanted you to see this memo pad that I purchased from the dollar store, and it happened to be sitting on my desk, so I thought I'd use that and include it on this card to give it a nice punch of color. The two little bows were cut out using the Shaker Shapes framelit dies, which is sadly retired from the Christmas catalog. I did cut out one in Melon Mambo and one in the notepad paper there, just to offset it, and topped it off with a little pearl. Next, we're going to create a little sentiment, and we're going to be using the Sunshine Sayings bundle. And there's a cute little love sentiment there, so we're going to stamp that out on a scratch piece of paper, and we'll just hand trim that out since it's pretty tiny. Now that we have all our pieces, we're ready to assemble the card. And to finish off the card, we're going to add a little heart right onto the bunny. And here's a look of all 4 cards. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for joining me.